So I've done a shitload of work to the bike in the last maybe week or so. I haven't put any videos, obviously. But one thing that I did was I went through, and when I had first built it, I didn't put every wire where it should go. So like this one came down on this side and crossed behind it over to that side. I had this one go around. It came around to this side and tucked back in and went that way. And I just had shit that didn't make sense. And then like my starter wire, I just had like way too much slack in it. There was like this much slack. So I had it like make like a loop down under the frame. So I got rid of all of that. Tighten up all the wires. So now that all looks good. There's no more crossed over wires and shit down in here. I shortened where the ground goes and all that. Ran all those real neat. Took this off, wire brushed the entire inside of the thing, put it back together. Same thing with the other side, the drive shaft. Wire brushed basically the entire bike. And I decided I don't like where it says Fat Moto, so I blacked that out today. Now you can see this. This is from a vape called Wavy Vision, but I flipped it upside down. And the reason being is years ago, I used to have a whole bunch of car emblems in my bedroom, and one of the ones was Volkswagen. And I used to keep it this way because I lived in Massachusetts, so MA. All my friends used to come over and flip it the other way, saying, "Dude, it's upside down." And I'd explain to them the reason why, and then eventually they'd end up leaving it. So that's what I did on here, just because I thought it looked better than the question mark that I had there. And then this, I made all these holes in it because somebody online said that it was a good idea for ventilation. And then I had these ones here, but I found that it was getting a shitload of dirt in there, and I took this side off and wire brushed the whole inside, the whole outside, everything, and got a lot of debris out of there because when I first got the bike, I over oiled everything. And that basically, this was the first time that I've actually cleaned it. So I took everything apart, wire brushed the everything. The only thing I haven't taken apart so far is the motor itself. Taking apart the whole exhaust, taking apart the whole drive shaft, taking apart the carburetor, air filter, the starter, fucking literally everything. Um, but yeah, this goes in a tub. Like some tubs have that switch that you can make the bottom of the tub plug up so it fills with water. Some don't have that. They just have a flat metal plate. This is that flat metal plate, and it fit on here perfectly. And I thought it looked a lot better than just black. So I threw that on there. Then today I ran because I really don't like this vacant space right there. So today I took the other carburetor from the fucking bike kit that I have, and I attached it onto this thing. And I thought it kind of looked like a skull. I thought that was kind of fucking cool. So I attached it on there, ran this hose, ran this cable. The cable just goes over to my exhaust, and the hose just goes to my air filter. Doesn't actually do anything. Well, with the air filter, I am getting a little bit of air through this, I suppose. So it's somewhat of a intake, I guess. But the cable is just there for looks. But I thought it looked better than just that vacant space. And then my gas tank's been leaking pretty much like since the second week that I had the bike. That's what this is right here. That's where the gas was hitting, and I've tried all different kinds of shit here, and fucking nothing's really worked. So I redid the tubes with this shit. This is from a stethoscope. So I redid it with that, and then up here I put a rubber O-ring there because I did have like this flat gasket kind of thing. And that stayed for a while, but it ended up splitting. Like it already had a split in it, and it ended up splitting all the way and leaking again. And then this time it was like down here was accumulating gas on it, and I couldn't figure out why because it wasn't coming from up there, and it didn't seem to be coming from the fuel filter. So I had no fucking idea. So that's why I just redid it just for the fuck of it. And then I did put a new O-ring and a new flat gasket up there. And this I was kind of playing with. Originally, this bar that comes across here, I was going to try to attach that to it. As you can see right there, that ring is designed to go over the handlebars for like a regular bicycle. Um, but I was going to try to attach it in here to this thing, but it just wouldn't. There was no way to do it and have it function. If it was in there, I wouldn't be able to get stuff in and out of it. So I put it back here with zip ties just for a trial run, and I don't mind it. I can keep a can of soda in it. The can of soda doesn't come out, and I got my hair brushes in there, and that's cool. And then with this tube, I thought it was kind of cool the way it looks like it flows, looks like it comes from the front, goes to the back, goes through there, and then it comes out like that. So I thought that was kind of cool. Gives it like a little running accent, but again, also makes this area look more filled in instead of just being empty. And then I had taken the skull off of here. It was just a little Bluetooth speaker because I remembered there was a switch on the back, and when you have it on, the eyes light up red. So what I did was I took it and flattened the back of it, took the speaker out, flattened the back. The switch still makes the eyes light up red, and the whole skull's black, and just over the eyes is like a metal mesh. So I wire brushed the metal mesh to make it silver. Then you turn on the switch, the eyes light up red, and I had it attached right here, aiming forward. But the other night I knocked it off when I was adjusting these bolts because my handlebars were tilted too far back pretty much since the time I've had this bike. Um, and it was always uncomfortable to ride, but I never really put that much thought into it. And then I ended up realizing what it was because I had them tilted too far back. So they were like angled downward and like forward kind of. So the inside of my thumb was what was hitting the most. But I have a pair of other handlebars that like they look like old bicycle handlebars where they go like this and then come up, and then there's a piece of metal that goes across here. I'm gonna take those, I'm gonna cut that piece of metal out and then put them on here so they're more like ape-hangers kind of. Um, and they're chrome. And then I also have these that I'm gonna be putting on here. These are from my old street bike. And the cool thing about them, which is going to be great with disc brakes, is they have this lock here. So right there is the disengaged position. When it's like this would be basically you pulling the brake. Not completely pulling it, but pulling it pretty far. So right there is where I would adjust my brake pads to. Um, and that would be basically sitting against the disc. Um, so then when I undo this and let it go free, then it won't be touching at all. But then I know that all I have to do is use the fine tune adjustment on the cable down there, and that'll get it in the right place instead of having, this much to play with and kind of try to figure it out. So that's going to be cool to have the two of these on there with the chrome handlebars, ape hanger looking. Then I also decided that I'm going to make a dashboard. I have a rough design for it. I'm going to make it out of this here. And it's going to basically, it's as simple as it sounds. Basically, it's going to be that, just the top piece. So obviously I'm going to gut the inside and it's just going to be the top piece. But I'm going to have that on there and then cut it to shape. And what it's going to house is I have another blinker coming. So I'm going to have a second one of these switches. So we're going to have going on the dash, the dead center is going to be the clock. Speedometer is going to be right here, right over here. I'm going to have actually this thing here. I'm going to have that there because that's roughly the same size as the speedometer is. So I'm going to have that right about there. And what's going to be even better, what's going to be on it in the dead center is going to be my kill switch. or no, sorry, dead center is going to be my ignition, and then I'm going to have the kill switch off to the side of it on that side, and then I'm going to have on this side a little switch that controls my headlight because I'm going to attach, I don't know where it is. I have this LED. It's like a spotlight. Yeah, this here. This, and it's bright as fuck, right? So I'm gonna take it all down. So that just the very front part. It's not gonna have that like wing coming off the top of it. And then I'm gonna mount it on there, and I'm gonna be able to spin it side to side, up and down, and I'm gonna have it ran off of the battery for the blinkers for the front. Um, and anyway, so it's gonna have that little on-off switch if, and this is an if because this one controls my tail light, right? So the second one would be controlling the front one, which it's going to be red like a tail light. But I was going to take all of the red plastic off and have it just white, like I was going to replace it with white plastic. So when I turn that one on, it will light up white. It wouldn't be bright like a headlight, just kind of like a fog light, I guess. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to unwire that brake light part. I'm going to wire that onto it because that runs off rechargeable batteries, runs by solar. So it should work with the rechargeable batteries that are in the blinker. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wire it up, and turn it on, and leave it on from the time I get up till the time I go to bed. If it stays illuminated for 16 hours without dying, then I'll feel comfortable because I don't ride for more than like an hour a night. Um, so that would mean basically I'd be able to get like 2 weeks out of it without having to charge it. And I'd have sufficient headlight. So that's my plan for that. And the blinkers, you're able to program two of them to one remote, and you're also able to program two remotes to one of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to program two remotes to each one. So the left hand one will be able to operate both front and rear blinkers, but I'm going to use it just like when I hit left, it'll turn on front and rear left. I won't use the right hand one. And then on this one, I'll hit the right hand one, it'll illuminate front and rear right hand. And then I'll be able to use this one. I'll turn that on. It'll turn turn it, well, both of them will do it actually. I turn it on, it'll turn the fucking tail light and the headlights on, but they also have a button on them individually, so I'll be able to um, turn the headlight itself off because this button right here controls the center light. So when I turn on the tail light and the headlight comes on, all I'll have to do is just reach up and hit it once and it'll turn the headlight off. But again, like I said, I'm going to have that wired to a little switch up here. So anyway, it's going to be the clock in the center. It's going to be both of the blinkers. It's going to be the speedometer, the ignition, the headlight switch, and the kill switch. And that's it. But it'll be a cool little fucking dashboard set up real nice. This thing won't be in here. I did think about keeping that as like a little dashboard kind of thing, like a little glove box kind of thing, but I don't think I'm going to bother with that. So, like I said, it's just going to be two of these, bang, bang, this with the ignition, and then the clock will probably be right about here, and that'll be my little dashboard. And then today I bent the pegs because they originally obviously were bicycle pedals, so they went pretty much like straight down and out. I'm the one that bent them into this like extreme S shape because I wanted them to stick out further as opposed to going straight down. That's what they would have looked like before. But you can see it's basically they do go like straight down. So right here, I bent it out, 2, 3 inches or whatever, and then right there, the same thing to make them that shape. But in doing so, this part was still like straight. And when you sit on the bike, you're not sitting like this, you're sitting like this. So it was really uncomfortable to try to keep my legs like that. And it would, by the end of the ride, my fucking legs were shaking just from being in a weird position. So I just put a bar on them and then pulled the bar backwards to bend them, and then also bent them slightly downward because again, you're not like this, you're like this, and when you're like this, your foot's not like that, it's like this. So they're now tilted backwards and downwards. And then if you can notice, I made these pegs because originally these were pedals again, and then I had a piece of metal, maybe about this big, a little bit thinner, that I had on there, and I just really didn't care for it too much because of how thin it was. So these are both pieces of a seat post. This is the part that went inside the frame. This is the part that would have gone up inside of the seat, and they have a nice little contour to them at the ends. So I was able to put them on there, and then I got these nice rounded nuts that I put on up against a washer just to make sure it doesn't slide off. It's got the little bit of grip on it there. This one, because I didn't have two exactly the same, that one's got the cross-cut grip at the tip of it. This one's got the cross-cut like on the inside of it. I know I have another one of these somewhere, so the other one that I have is going to match either this one or that one. So whichever one it does, I'm going to switch it. I'm sure I'm going to find that when I locate the other handlebars. They're downstairs somewhere. Um, and the other thought was that I could put these on as my brake levers, but I don't like how it's got the exposed cable right there. So I think what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to make these into my mirror brackets because right now they're just they're made out of other brake levers, but they don't match each other. So I'm figuring I will make them match each other by having them both be these ones are actually steel, and then those ones are aluminum, but then everything will match. So yeah, that's all the updates. Pretty sure that's all the updates. I think I covered everything. Took the skull off the front, putting it back up there, putting the ape-hangers on, putting the chrome brake levers on, making chrome mirror mounts, um, the other headlight, the blinkers, covered up the sides, redid that, put that in to fill that hole, the logo on this side, on that side, the cup holder. Oh, the new exhaust. I don't know if this was in a video. I was riding home and my exhaust only came down to about here, just this straight thing. But I had to cut it up here at one point, so I had it held on with a hose clamp. I ended up fucking not paying attention, whatever. Long story short, it fell off and got run over by a car. So it's flat and sitting over there now. So when I got home, I was trying to, on the ride home, I'm trying to figure out what am I going to replace that with. So I had these old pool stairs, pool ladders from when I had the in-ground pool. So I was just going to cut a section of it, but when I held it up to see if it was the right size, this was the exact fucking shape of it, right? Right there was where I cut. Right there was where the rubber piece would have been in, and it would have rested up against the side of the pool. And this all would have been submerged, and then this is where it would have come up and curved like that and then gone into the ground. So this part right here would have been what stuck up above ground, like this way. Um, so I cut it, um, and then those bolts are the old bolts that held the stairs on. They were plastic stairs, so they were all already broken off. But I attached it right there with hose clamps and a piece of sheet metal. Sheet. It actually is. Yeah, it's like real metal. Um, and then ran this down, put a muffler clamp on there to hold this upright and to hold that on, so it's dual purpose. And then yeah, that's that. I think yeah, that's that. And then right here where I bolted it on, the bolt that I wanted to use obviously I needed a hole to go through, so I had to drill a hole in this side so I could stick my bit through there, because I didn't want to risk putting a nut down in here, because if the nut, yeah, right there, if the nut came off and hit this, I'd go flying off the fucking bike. So I wanted to put the bolt in this way. So I used a very flat-headed bolt with an Allen's head that matches same size as all the other Allen wrench stuff on here. So that on the inside is where the nuts go, and they're those kind of nuts that have the plastic on them, like on the inside. So it makes it that once you put it on, it does not come loose. And I got 3 of them cranked onto that, so it ain't going nowhere. But to cover it up, I had this piece of aluminum from the inside of a amplifier, so I just bent it and stuck it on there. So yeah, it's got the good looking exhaust. It's got the little logo and the chrome and shit there. Really can't wait to put that dash in. And then we got the cool looking fucking hose and the cool looking little fucking skull dude right there. And yeah, that's that. And then my little balls that hang down there used to be blue, if you'd ever seen them in the very beginning. Now I stuck them inside of some black cloth, and now I have matching balls for the bike. But yeah, that's that. The saddlebags will be coming soon. I'm gonna hold off on the hydraulic brakes for now because these ones are working fine. Now that I've really gone through and did everything on the bike correctly, I've changed a lot of the hardware, a lot of the fasteners. Um, but yeah, the saddlebags will basically go to right there where that bar is. They'll come like straight out, and then they follow the shape of the tire, and then up here they cut back down basically where the seat post is. So they'll be shaped just like that on both sides. And that'll be fucking definitely nice to have that whole back end covered in and a little more solid looking. And I won't have to have this fucking thing there. It'll give me a center of gravity that's a lot lower, so I'll be able to ride on slick roads, be able to take turns a little bit better. It'll be nice. And then again, I do have to hook the back brakes back up uh, sooner than later, because right now I'm only on front brakes, and it's fucking a little sketchy when you try to stop and shit. So, all right, that's that. Everybody have whatever kind of day you want to.